It's the Tom Traddie Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Tom Traddie Show. For those of us who love the traditional Latin Mass, this year has been both a rough patch and a rallying cry at the same time. We've seen diocesan limits, surprising gestures at Rome, local victories, and some hard losses. And it's clearer than ever that keeping the older form alive takes steady prayer, clear work, and just plain old perseverance. Let's take a couple of minutes to run through some key TLM moments from May through October, keeping it brief and to the point. May of 2025, a leaked draft from the Diocese of Charlotte revealed Bishop Michael B. Martin's intent to restrict celebrations and external practices connected to the traditional Latin Mass across the diocese. That leak set off immediate public outcry from traditionalist groups and parishioners and sharpened a local debate about access to the liturgy and diocesan authority. In June, we had several headline items. First, a Senate hearing disclosed that the FBI had made inquiries into certain traditionalist Catholic groups and a priest, raising real concerns about surveillance and civil liberties among those communities. That revelation prompted calls for transparency about how law enforcement interacts with religious organizations. Also in June, a parish in Texas won a Vatican exemption allowing it to continue celebrating the traditional Latin Mass despite broader local or national restrictions. That exemption became a touchstone for advocates arguing that pastoral accommodation for the older rite is both necessary and possible. Regular viewers of the show, you know who you are, will immediately notice that our chart has been cleverly color-coded so that positive developments show up in green. As we'll see, June was a mixture of good, bad, and what the heck was that all about? Archbishop Edward Weisenberger in Detroit identified specific non-parish churches and chapels where the traditional Latin Mass could continue. His approach aimed to preserve access for the faithful attached to the older form while maintaining diocesan oversight and organizational control. Interesting definition of preserve access. Cardinal Raymond Burke also took action in June, formally appealing to Pope Leo XIV to lift or ease restrictions on the traditional Latin Mass. His appeal framed the issue as one of unity and pastoral provision for people deeply attached to the older rite. Now that's certainly worth a green box of its own, but the producers felt that it was necessary to insert a cutaway shot of me for some reason, so here I am. Why they didn't consider it important to include that as a green box on the chart, well, that's a discussion I'll have with them after this filming episode concludes. Back to our visually stunning, if somewhat incomplete graphic. Here's another green box for June, one that was actually included. The Chartres pilgrimage, and notice how I either correctly or incorrectly pronounce the word Chartres. Is it Chartres? Chartres? We'll leave that to the viewer. In any event, the pilgrimage in France drew roughly 19,000 participants, demonstrating substantial international support for traditional liturgy and energizing advocates across borders. That turnout reminded us that this movement has grassroots strength and cultural resonance beyond any single diocese. All right, moving into summer, on July 8th, the Diocese of Charlotte briefly moved up the effective date for new restrictions before reversing that change after some considerable backlash. And that shows how quickly local decisions can shift under public pressure. The astute viewer will notice that this box, too, is color-coded orange, denoting it firmly falling under the what the heck just happened category. In August, in what would definitely be categorized as a red box event, Bishop Daniel E. Garcia in Monterey, California, ended the traditional Latin Mass at a parish as part of a diocesan policy framed as promoting liturgical unity. Yes, nothing says unity like having one's Mass eliminated. That decision removed a long-standing local option for parishioners attached to the older rite and was a definite loss for that community. Then, on September 29th, a surprise traditional Latin Mass at St. Michael's Altar in St. Peter's Basilica marked an unexpected public celebration of the older rite in Rome. That liturgy was notable for its visibility and was seen by many supporters as an encouraging sign. Encouraging enough, of course, to merit a green box for our stunning visual graphic. Before we move on to October, here's another cutaway shot reminding you that, yes, you are getting your TLM recap from a poorly animated, non-AI cartoon. On October 2nd, the Diocese of Charlotte implemented its policy limiting traditional Latin Mass celebrations to a single designated chapel, centralizing the rite and reducing its availability in parish settings. That policy change reshaped local access and intensified debates about pastoral care for those attached to the older form. In what might be considered a negative development for Laudato Si, parish families are now dumping increased amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere as they drive an hour or more to attend the TLM. Also in October, a family-led Catholic film project began documenting the experiences of traditional Latin Mass communities in Charlotte, aiming to capture the rite's aesthetics and social tensions around its restriction. That project seeks to amplify personal stories and add human faces to the broader policy debate. Finally, on October 25th, Cardinal Burke was scheduled to celebrate a traditional Latin Mass at St. Peter's Basilica during a Summorum Pontificum pilgrimage, presented by supporters as a high-profile sign of backing for wider access to the older rite. So, what do we take from all this? Well, stay connected with other communities, document what's working, and keep respectfully reminding leaders that pastoral care includes care for those attached to that venerable rite. Show up, build relationships, and keep the focus on prayerful witness. Thanks for listening. With perseverance and charity, the traditional Latin Mass will continue to find ways to flourish, even when the road gets bumpy. This is Tom Traddie. Thanks, goodbye for now, and God bless.